good evening, good evening, everybody. Good evening. Just here doing a wellness check. So, hope you guys are doing all right. Good afternoon, one and all. Good afternoon. Give a few minutes for people to come into this chat. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to talk about a few things. Number one, this is the month of May, and as such, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I hope that you guys are taking some time out to take care of yourselves, and not just that, but take care of your mental health as well, right? I know that from personal experience, we tend to not do the work to better ourselves from a mental frame of mind. We always tend to think that even when things aren't okay, that we're okay, or we just tend to, this is big, we oftentimes tend to just hold it in. We let we let the pain or the trauma or whatever it is that you're going through, we let it build up. And then when it boils over and explodes, we take our frustrations and our anger out on the wrong people, typically, right? And small things become big things. Issues that could have been handled with just a simple conversation are now rolled over into huge arguments, and you know harsh words can be said, and God knows what else can transpire once you open your mouth and say things that you can't take back. So we have to be mindful of our emotions, you know and I'm not saying to say that that's easier said than done, because I know that it isn't. It's not easier said than done, but it is something that can be done if you do the work. You have to be able to be mindful to do that work, and it has to be done on a daily basis, right? So this is why, part of the reason why I'm doing this. I want people to chime in and tell me how they are really feeling. If they're doing all right, then hell, tell me that you're doing all right. And if you're not doing all right, then if you want to talk about it, let's do that. I'm open for conversation, because I don't want someone to think that they're all good when they're not. And oftentimes I think that we need people to talk us off the ledge from doing something stupid. I'm talking about mental health, y'all. I'm talking about mental health, ours, and how we need to really prioritize that from time to time and do the work to improve our lives, right? But anyway, we're talking about Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're talking about the importance of our mental health. So, question that I thought about right away is, what can we do to help promote better mental health for ourselves? What can we do to stop that stinking thinking? I refer to, the intrusive thoughts and all that negative stuff that goes on in your brain. I refer to that as stinking thinking. And all of us have it. All of us. We have had stinking thinking up in our brains every now and again. And the question now becomes, what do we do to keep that stinking thinking in check? You know, some of the things that I came up with are sleep. Got to get some sleep, fellas and ladies. And I can really admit to this, that for years I struggled with the lack of sleep because of my PTSD that I deal with, right? Because of the nightmares that I was having, and it it would be hard. It would be hard to explain the nightmares that I've experienced and the reasons why I was so afraid to go to sleep. And because of the lack of sleep that I got, it didn't make me function well during the day because I couldn't sleep well because of the nightmares that I was having related to my PTSD. I was having these military related dreams where I was fighting for my life, jumping from ridiculous heights and dying every time. Every dream, every time. I always ended up dying, and I always ended up waking up screaming, sweating profusely. I mean, this was ongoing, ongoing, Monday through Sunday, ongoing. And my sleep was affected severely by that, which led me to engage in other things to quote unquote self medicate, right? I started drinking a lot more, so I thought that that would help me. And it didn't. It just turned one problem into two problems. You know what I'm saying? So, sleep was something that was hard for me to do because I was so afraid of what was coming. But being able to get some good sleep will help you mentally. Working out, working out is another one. That helped me greatly back after my release from the military. That helped me out greatly. And for those of you who aren't so privy to working out, I highly encourage you to get yourselves in the gym, start working out. I don't care if it's walking. I don't care if you stretch 5 minutes a day. I really don't care what it is that you do. But I would highly recommend that you engage in some form of physical activity. Let out those endorphins. You know what I'm saying? Get that stress out. Do what you can to get that stress out. Sleeping, more effectively, working out, eating better, right? I know some of us have horrible eating habits, so I think that if we can change that, that would help as well. And here's a big one: we have to practice mindfulness. We have to be in a good mental place to perform and just be out here in public, in a good way. I've became more alerted to the fact that I needed to practice mindfulness, and I've been doing that, and I can tell you that as of late, things are starting to look a whole lot better for me as I'm able to just be mindful of where I'm at, mindful of my emotions, and it helps me regain a sense of power back. You know, you can't let your emotions and your feelings dictate your life. You dictate it. You you have power over it. You know, and like I said, just be more mindful of being in the present. That's it. Be in the present, right? Keep your mind and in the present. Don't let other people steer you out of your square. We're all in this little square, and within that square is your true self. It's your raw self. Don't let nobody break that square. Stay there. Stay in that square and stay mindful of who you're talking to, where you are, what you're doing, and be keep yourself mindful also that you are in control of your thoughts and actions. So be very mindful of that. One thing that I would say that as guys, we need to do more self-care. Self-care and therapy. It's okay to not be okay. I talk about this often. Oftentimes say that it's okay to not be okay, but do something about it. Do the work to get better. And if it means speaking out on some things, then speak out. Speak out. That is important. You owe it to yourself to take care of yourself. Like I said, if that means working out, work out. If that means being mindful of your surroundings and being mindful and in control of your emotions and your thoughts, do that. Do that work. And if you need some help with that, then I will highly recommend, seeking a counselor. See someone that can tell you more about, yourself than you can. It can't hurt. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. Nothing to be ashamed of. But anyway, how are you guys doing today? These last few days here in Wisconsin has been very crappy. Personally, I'm tired of it. I'm ready for some good weather so I can chill in my backyard and smoke my cigar or cigars. Yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm all ready for that. So, how are you guys doing today? For real, how are all you guys doing? Come on in the chat and let me know how you guys are doing because I want to hear some people tell me that they're doing all right and not just for tell. I want you to let me know authentically, are you doing all right? How are you doing really? So I had to do some research on some trending topics as it relates to mental health. And one thing that I found that was a little bit disturbing was that there was a rise, there's an increase of ADHD prescription medications amongst women ages 35 to 64. And this was done by NBC News, and the study was done at the end of 2022, right? So it was said that 1.7 million women were taking Adderall and Ritalin for ADHD compared to 1.2 million in 2019. Now, I know that was some years ago, and I, I'm not aware if those numbers went up or down between 22 and 25. But I wanted to share that as a conversation piece because I didn't know that that was an issue. You know, I didn't know that people gravitated to medications in such a way to help themselves, right? Because as we all know, medications have side effects. And if you look at these TV commercials, and not and I'm not saying this to diss taking medication, but I am saying it to make you aware that we tend to depend on medications greatly other than doing some things within yourself. I'll just say it like that. I don't see people doing more work within themselves to be healthier and happier. They're just more dependent on these medications to give them the relief that they're looking for. I'm not advocating medication use, and I'm also not advocating not taking medications, but I do have questions. I do have questions, and I raise these questions to make you raise some questions, because the number one question that I have in regards of medications is, why do these pharmaceutical companies push these drugs on us so hard when the side effects of taking medications is worse than just taking the medication itself? I mean, if you ever watch these TV shows and you see all these medication commercials being pumped into our psyches, right? Listen to the list of side effects from taking these medications. If you actually took the time to listen to the side effects that these companies are promoting medications for us, I'll have to ask, why would I take it? I mean, some of these side effects are death, suicidal ideations. Why would I put something in my body and in to help me with what I'm dealing with, if only to only have it present worse problems? Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Now, from a legal standpoint, they have to tell you these side effects, right? They have to tell you what the side effects are from taking these medications. But it all goes back to the question, why would you take these medications in the first place, knowing what they're capable of doing to you? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But if side effects for taking certain medications is death, then I'm not going to take it. I'm just going to, I don't know. I'll do something else. Don't know. I'll eat bananas. Go see a counselor. I don't know. Go to the gym. I'll take my chances, but I will not. I am not going to co-sign taking medications. When the side effects are just as worse than the problems that you're dealing with. I can't co-sign that. I can't co-sign it. So yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand that. So I need somebody to help me understand, and good luck with that, the importance of pushing medications to people when the side effects are worse for you. And please, if you take the time to answer that question, I mean, hey, I'll read it, and if I have to respond to it, I will respond. But I would like an answer to that question, though. So that's just something that I thought about, right? And on another note, I was looking up some things too, and I came across this article. This article talks about this guy that plays for the Cleveland. They're not the Indians anymore. The Cleveland Guardians. The Cleveland Guardians baseball team. And this guy's name is Jaron Duran. He is a player for the Cleveland Guardians, and he was talked about because he was recently in a documentary that talks about his suicide attempt that he tried to do 3 years ago. And there was a fan at the stadium during the game that was heckling Jaron. They didn't say what was said, but they did address that it was something inappropriate to him. That this particular person was saying some very inappropriate things to him. And, you know, how despicable is that? How despicable is that when, you know, when people speak their truth and reveal, something like that, and you just dismiss that. You diss the person, and you just totally behave callously towards someone that has hit such a low that they attempted to take their life. I mean, how callous is that? I mean, it just goes to show you that regardless of how much money a person may have, regardless of the fame that a person may have, regardless of the access that someone may have that others don't, it doesn't make them happy. It doesn't mean that all their answers are solved because of the access and the money and the fame. They're people too. And much like everyday folk, we all have our demons to deal with, and we all are struggling with something. You don't know what the person next to you is going through. You don't know what that person at the grocery store next to you is going through. You don't know what the individual that's driving next to you is going through. You don't know. So who and what gives you the right to be disrespectful to a man that openly stated that he was, dealing with issues and that he attempted to take his life? Why he did it is unimportant. It really is unimportant. But the fact that he did it speaks volumes. You don't know what your neighbor is going through. You don't know what anybody's going through. So, message to all you guys out there: be respectful of your fellow man. Be respectful of your neighbor. Be respectful of the person you see walking down the street, because you don't know what that person is going through. Be respectful to the people at your job. You don't know what the hell they are going through. And for that gentleman to be callous and disrespectful to that baseball player, that tells me a few things. Maybe there are other people, maybe there are others like that jerk who don't give a damn about, you know, what he did. I mean, I shudder to think that if I was to make a move like that and someone comes into my Facebook page and starts talking all greasy and whatnot, I could be looking for you, dog. Don't be in Milwaukee because you don't know my mental state of being. You don't know me. And I don't know you. So respect your lane and I'll respect mine. You don't know what the next person is going through. You don't know. So you have no right to open your mouth and say something stupid because the things that you say can very well impact what he or she does. You don't know. And back to this medication thing. Regarding medication and regarding, in particularly, regarding ADHD, there are people out there that will admit that they don't believe that such a thing as ADHD even exists. I had a conversation with one of my guys. We don't particularly get along, and he's a very outspoken guy, and I tend to check him on things when he opens his mouth and say things that doesn't make sense, and he doesn't like that. But anyway, we were talking about medications one day, and he said to me, "I don't believe in ADHD in kids. Kids are just kids." Okay. He was like, I was a bad kid and blah blah, and I turned out okay. I said, man, you not really. Nah, not really. You didn't. But you're entitled to your opinion, even though it's wrong. But you're entitled to your opinion. He said, kids are just kids, and kids do crazy things sometimes. Kids don't know what crazy is. Some kids just do what's in their mind to do. It doesn't make it right. That's what kids being kids is about. Kids are just doing kid stuff. But when you terrorize people's homes and you break shit just to be breaking shit, and you behave in a manner that's very inappropriate, let's behave inappropriately, and you don't listen. You're very impulsive. A lot of kids aren't like that. In this question, so what do you think about adults that are diagnosed with something? Since you don't believe that kids are diagnosed, what are your thoughts about adults that are diagnosed? I don't believe that either. I don't believe. Okay, so let's start here. When you deal with people who are schizophrenic, they're hearing voices. The voices is telling them to hurt somebody. Do you think that's wrong? He couldn't give me an answer. He just started laughing and talking crazy. It's like, no, no. I'm like, no. Let's keep it a buck. Since you don't believe that kids uh, can't be diagnosed. Let's talk about adults for a second. So I asked him again, what about people that are diagnosed with schizophrenia or ADHD, right? Do you believe that adults should also not be diagnosed or have a diagnosis status on their, on themselves? No, I believe that, you can just eat right and do better and blah, blah, that everything will be all right. I don't believe that either, man. I don't believe that either. He couldn't convince me that this diagnosis thing is invalid. And I basically proved to him that, yeah, it is real. Mental health is real. You can't shy away from that. And even kids are affected by it. What do you think these kids that are diagnosed with issues grow up to become? They grow up to become adults with mental health issues. Am I right or am I just tripping? So yeah, needless to say, he copped the attitude with me, over that because he couldn't give me a reason to. He couldn't give me any reason to believe his stance that that diagnosing children is inappropriate. Well, nobody wants to label their kid. First off, nobody wants to label their child as having something that's beyond their control. But the reality is, many kids are dealing with something that's beyond their control. Because you do have kids out there that, hell, they can't follow directives. Some kids don't want to. Some kids want to do just what they want to do. They don't want to listen. They want to act up. This, I hate to say it like that, but you do have kids out there that cut up. You got kids that can't sit down. You got kids that they have to move all day long. They can't concentrate at all. And so, some kids are, hey, we see them. We see them out here. Mental health is real. Very real. And a lot of people, kids included, are dealing with it. You do not know what the next man or the next woman is dealing with. Respect everybody that walks into your path because you never know. The nice things that you say to people could help save them. You can save a life just by being nice to people and not being a jerk like this fan did to this Cleveland Guardian baseball player. That's something that you should not do. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is my wellness check. I really do hope that you guys are doing all right. All we can do is just take life one day at a time. Literally, one day at a time. Nothing's promised to us, and nothing's given to us. But one thing that we do have is God's grace. And that is given to us every day, all the time. Embrace that. And understand it's okay to not be okay. But do something about it. Do the work. Don't depend on everybody else to take care of you. Don't depend on these psychotropic medications that will cause other problems. They will cause other problems. So do the work. Be mindful of yourself. Be mindful of your emotions. Be mindful of your feelings. Do the work. That's it for me. I will be doing a podcast later on this evening at 7 p.m. The Soldier Stories podcast. So stay tuned for that. If you guys don't have anything else for me, I will sign off and go to my podcast, The Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross, YouTube, and hit that subscribe button. Show your love. All right. Take care.